Hello everyone, welcome back to this session. This is the episode 2 of the tutorial or the course on CICD machine learning, right? So today we're going to be talking about DVC, data versioning control, in machine learning and how to use that in CICD, right? So we're just going to talk about that, right? And yeah. So my screen here, the question is like, what is DVC and why, right? So it's a data version control system, and it helps us to, reproduce our experiments by tracking the data set, the model files, and the metrics, right? And even the parameters that you use to train the model, right? So this helps us to do that. Okay, so this also integrates with gates, especially when you're working with large data sets, large, data sets and large models, right? So this actually helps us to integrate with gates seamlessly, right? So it's kind of the Git version of data, right? The Git version of data, so the way you can still keep the versions of your code with Git. You can also do that same thing with DVC, keeping versions of your data set and models, right? So you can think about it that way. Even though the commands are very similar, the DVC commands are similar to the Git command, just that you put Git and this one uses DVC, right? Okay. So the key features here, it helps to track data changes and manage different model versions. Like I have here, you can design pipeline automation. Define your ML flow. Design your ML workflow. Using the DVC pipeline. You can also have remote storage. For example, you have a large amount of data sets, and it's stored somewhere. For example, it can be in Azure, Google Cloud, AWS S3. You can actually, have your remote storage, and then you can, connect those to your pipeline, right? Okay, so first of all, we're going to install DVC into our workstation or working directory, right? So install DVC, you can check it. So I can share this with you guys, right? Just things you need to know about DVC, right? So okay, so now we're going to install DVC. If I go back to my workstation, so here you can see that you first need to initialize Git and then initialize DVC when you have installed it, right? And then once you initialize DVC, is going to create these files for you, so we can come back to here to talk about these files, right? Okay, so if I go to my this, I can say, okay, so I've already created my environment here, right? So I can just say, install DVC. So it's gonna do that. So while that is going on, so I can go back to talk about the other files I mentioned in the slide, right? So here, it has, so once you initialize that, you're going to see it in a bit, it creates these files for us, and these hidden files which can be tracked by Git, right? Just like I mentioned here. And then in this DVC signal, right, if you want to tell to the, just like you have in the Git ignore, like the files you don't want to track by Git, same thing here. Files you don't want to track, you don't want DVC to track, right? For example, if I want to say ignore all files in the directory, I can just do this. The data is the directory, and then the asterisk. It shows that, oh, ignore all files in this directory. Then if I want to ignore, don't ignore file don't ignore file in the directory, I can use this it's exclamation mark or something, right? And then it says, I mentioned the path to the file. Oh, don't ignore this file in this directory, right? And then if I want to ignore all files that have a particular extension, for example JSON, right? .json or .txt or whatever, in the directory or in the working directory, I can say, oh, this asterisk.json, that means I should ignore all files with this extension, right? So I don't want to track it. I don't want DVC to track it. Okay, so let's go back to the workstation to see. Okay, DVC is installed. If I do pip show DVC, you can see, yeah, so it's installed already, right? And so now for us to work with DVC, we need to have some files, right? So we need to have our data sets, and so we need to have our data set, right? So I'm going to bring a code here to do that. So I'm just going to create a file to do that, right? So let's say call it data injection py, right? And then we can work on this, right? So I'm going to bring a particular file. I'll go into my GitHub and bring the file for us to see. Okay. So go here. Okay. So go to my GitHub. Okay. I'll just look for this file, this injection py. So I'll just copy this guy. This will help us to download the file we're looking for that we want to use to do this tutorial, right? So you just go back here and just paste the file here. Right, so I need to install all these guys. Install pandas. Okay, datasets. Right, and then so once those, so let me explain the file here. So this is just going to save this file in this directory, right? Right, and then this is going to go to, so the place is going to go get this file from is from Hugging Face, right? So there's a file, there's a particular repository in Hugging Face that has this this file. So if I go here, search for this. Yeah, so this is the guy that had this file, so I'm using to do this. Right, so let's see how we can download this. Right, okay. So we're taking a subset of the Igbo data sets. So this is like Africenty. It has all the African, languages data sets for sentiment analysis, but I'm interested in working with the Igbo section. The one for Igbo, right? And then if I do Python, okay, yeah, works. If I do Python data ingest, okay. So see how this is gonna download this file. So it has downloaded this file for me. If I create the folder, so if I go here, I can see So these are the data sets that I want to work with. So I want to do, so I just want to do sentiment analysis in Igbo language, something like that, just to show how we can use DVC to do this kind of thing, right? Okay. So this is the data set, this is the test, this is the train, this is the validation, right? And then I want to get another file, right? I want to get another file, so let me call it data preprocess.py, right? So I have to go back to the repository. I think I've written the code already here, and I can take it from here. So here I just copy it, right? And then push it down here. Oh, sorry, it's a mistake. Okay, so that works, so it doesn't work. So I paste it here, okay? And then here, so if you look at this data set, you can see that I'm trying to clean the URL, so there's some URL here. I just want to clean that up, right? Remove mentions of the users, because it's coming from tweets, Twitter, right? And then hashtag topics, remove all the emojis, so the symbols, for the code for removing the emojis, and then special characters, lowercase, white space, just few of the preprocessing here. And so I'm going to run this code, let's say Python. So for me to run this code, I need to call puts input directory and output directory, right? So I'm gonna do data pre-processing, and then I'm gonna do input directory, which is this guy. I'll copy this guy as the input directory, right? And then output directory. So I'm going to create, let me see if it's going to create output directory. So if it's going to create if it doesn't exist, right? Because of this line. So I'm going to call it pre-processed, right? And let's see. Okay, so it has pre-processed the data set for me. You can see it's all clean, removes all those things that I didn't want, and everything is clean here, right? Okay. So the next thing to do, I would like to add this data to DVC. I would like to add this data to DVC. Oh, I can go back to my slide just to make sure that we are on track, right? So after installing DVC, right? After installing DVC. Oh, I've installed DVC. I need to talk about the files here, right? So let's go back to the code, and okay, so let me initialize git init, and then I'll do DVC init. So you can see as it is like the DVC init, you can see here, right? And you can see here, right? And you can see that if I go to this .dvc folder, I have the .git ignore files. It doesn't want Git to track, right? And then if I go here, okay, I have this guy. If I come to the config, it's still empty yet. And if I come to the .dvc ignore, so here I can, just like I mentioned in the slide, I can, put all, all the things I don't want DVC to track, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. Okay. So now I want to, okay, if I go, so now if I want to, so what I want to do, so when you add a file to DVC, it creates, so for DVC data management, so if you add a file to DVC, it creates a .dvc version of that file, right? And so if you want to add, this is the command to add file to DVC. So if I go back here, I can say DVC add, I'll add this file, right? The train, right? So as I've added it, it creates a DVC version of that file, right? So if you check this file here, it has it's out. So here we have the checksum, right? And we have the size. This is the MD5, the hash method they use to provide this checksum is MD5, right? And it has the path to the file. And this is the size of the file, right? So it uses this to track, it uses this guy to track when the file has changes. So if this file has changes, you know, if I change this file, this number here, this hash code or checksum here is going to change, and then it's going to notice that the file has changed, and then it can start the process again and try to, you know, work on the dataset again based on the pipeline and what it's set to do for me, right? Okay. So I can add the files, right? So I'll just add the files. Okay. I will say DVC. Okay. Add. Let me put the validation. Just add this guy, right? And then let me still add this one. DVC add this guy. So I have all these DVC versions of this dataset. Okay, the test, the train, and the val. So now, once I've done this, I would like to add this to Git, right? Git add these files. The train set. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to add the val. Okay. Sorry. Git add. And the same thing goes to the test. Okay. Okay. So now I've done that. So the next thing I'm going to do, so let me try to do git commit, right? DVC data. Okay. And then, so what I need to do here, okay, so if I come here, so I've added that committed file to Git, right, and which we have done, right, and then we've talked about we've talked about this, and you can remove the file from DVC by doing DVC remove, right, can clear the DVC cache with this command, you know, right, and then, so we need to set up a DVC remote, right, so imagine that our data set is living in, so we want to set up a DVC remote so we can push our data set to DVC, to the remote and pull from the remote, right? So if I come here, so I will need to, first of all, so let's try to go to AWS. I'm going to use S3 here to do that, right? We'll sign into S3 console, okay? And then we'll go to here and try to log in. This MB5R, hope it's correct. 6CNGFR. Okay. So I sign into S3. Oh shit. So they've sent a call to my email. Give me a second. So now I'm into AWS. Right, so I can go to my S3 and which you can search here. You can just type here S3 and then just go to your S3 buckets, right? Just like I've done here before. So once I'm here, I can see I already have, so I can create buckets, create buckets, right? So here I have the bucket name here, right? So I'm just going to copy the S3 URI, and then I can do DVC remote add. Name of the remote, I will call it my S3, right? And then I'll paste the URI to the remote, to the S3 bucket, right? So if I come back to this place, you can see that I have that already. So it knows that my remote name is this, and then this is the URL to the remote storage, right? Okay, so now let's go to the slide and make sure that we are on point. The steps, right? Okay, so set up the DVC remotes. Okay, add data to DVC, modify. If you want to modify that and give it a time connection of 300, we can do that. Right, push the entire data set to DVC. Right, we can pull the entire data set from DVC with this command, and then we can push and pull individual files or directory. Right, and then we can update DVC cache without altering the changes in the local workspace. We're just fetching that. So now, before we go into pushing to the directory and pulling from the directory, so let's first of all create a pipeline, right? Okay. So what's a pipeline here? A pipeline is, I'll call it sequence of stages, or that's can automate and track, data processing, model training, experimentation, workflow, and it does that in a very reproducible and version controlled manner. So that means is that I can, the same step that I took to generate a particular result for an experiment, right? I can, reproduce that same steps, as a pipeline. Yeah, so that's what that means. So stages here, individual steps in the pipeline, such as data processing, pre-processing, model training, or evaluation. It can even be hyperparameter tuning, it's also a stage. If you define it, it's going to do that for you, right? And dependencies, these are files, data sets, or scripts, that a stage is required to run. So these are the dependencies, they call it deps, right? That a stage is required to run. So there are dependencies. And then we have the output. The output is actually the actual result. The output is the result that come out of a stage. You can call it artifacts, generated by a stage, right? It can be the model or the process data, right? Something like that. Okay, so you have the parameters for model training, also the params used for training the model. So you can specify that also. And the metrics used to store and track performance metrics for evaluation. Of course, when you're training a model, you need to have those, right? So once you have done this, DVC is going to create a file, right? For you, you're going to create a file for you, that has all those stages inside of it, and it's going to use that to track, the changes. The pipeline, right? Okay. So if you want to add a stage to DVC, so this is what you're going to do. You put the DVC, add stage, right? And then you put the name of the stage, the dependencies here, and the outputs, and then the Python code that will run that stage for you, right? And as a stage, and you can reproduce that stage. You can reproduce that pipeline also. So let's just go into the system and see. So now I want to create a stage. So the stage I want to create here, since I already have my data set here, so the reason why around this code was just to test that the code works. Right? That was the reason why I ran the code. Oh shit, there's a mistake. The dataset that I added was not a preprocessed dataset, but the raw dataset, which is not good, right? So we're not working with that. So the dataset we want DVC to track is a preprocessed, because that's what we're going to use to create a pipeline. So I'm going to go ahead and remove remove all these ones. Yeah, so I was looking for that. And DVC remove. Okay. DVC remove. Okay. And then I'll refresh to make sure that they're all gone. Okay, so for the sake of this pipelines, this stage I want to create, I'm going to delete this guy so that the pipeline will generate by itself, right? Okay, so I will do DVC stage add. Okay, I will just do something like this. Stage add. The name of the stage is a pre-process, and I'll put dependencies just like we have here, right? The dependency here, it's this guy. All right, and then we also have another dependency, which is the file that will run that, right? Right, and then we now say output. It's call it. So the code is supposed to create that folder for me. If it doesn't exist, pre-processed data, right? And then we can now say Python data preprocess, right? And then we put the command that we normally use for that, say impute directory is this guy, impute directory is this guy, impute directory is this guy, and we'll say the outputs directory is preprocessed. Preprocessed, right? I want to make sure they're the same. Just copy that and paste here. Okay. And I'm going to run this. Okay. DVC has created a file. If you check this, you can see added stage preprocess in dvc.yaml. So DVC has created a file for us. It says to try the changes with git run git.add git ignore DVC. So I'm supposed to track all this, right? I'm supposed to track all this to add the changes in git, right? So if you look at here, you can see that the file has been created. So you can see here that it created a file for me and put a stage here. The name of the stage is preprocess. This is the CMD, the command line to run the stage, and this is the dependency. It's called deps, just like I have here. Let me see. Okay, dependencies. Okay, I'll not mention that. Okay. Right. I have the dependencies, the deps here, the datasets, the what's it called again? The code, the Python code the Python file that runs that code, and then I have the output, which is this guy, the folder that should be generated after this code has run, to preprocess the datasets and put them into this folder. So if I want to reproduce this right now, I can say DVC repro, right? So it has run that. So you can see here, pre-processing. Okay, so it's a running stage, right? It says Python data preprocessing .py, it ran this, and then preprocessing complete, data saved, generating the log file and all that. So you can see that it's created that for us. And if you come here, you can see that it has cleaned the data set for us for training. You can see all that for us. Okay, so this is just what DVC stage, and you can stack your stages in pipeline, and it's going to run that for you, right? Okay, so let me try to. So now these files have been generated. I have this guy here already, right? So let me try to add these files to DVC. If I do DVC add pre-processed train, right? So it gives me an error. Cannot update train. This overlaps with an output of the stage preprocessed in dvc.yaml. So that what means is that the DVC is already tracking this file. So it's tracking it automatically as I've used pipeline to do that. So I don't need to manually add it to DVC. So DVC is already tracking this file. And if I want to see this file, if I go here, I don't know. So there's a lot of things here, other files that are added before. I think let's stay here. If I go, okay, maybe let me just choose this one. Yeah, okay, if I go to this one, you can see the parts here, test, the MD5, right? I can see this one for this one, the MD5, and this for that. So it's using that to check changes on my data set, right? And then yeah, so now just see what I'm going to do now. Since there's no change in the data set, so just to prove to you that DVC is actually tracking the data set, if I do DVC repro, say stage process didn't change, skipping, it says that the data and pipelines are up to date. So because it knows that there was no change, so there's no need of running that process again, which has to save a lot of memory, right? So you don't need to run, something that is still up to date, right? So that's interesting. Okay. So right now, we're going to go towards. So now we've run that stuff. So you have this file. It generated this file as you run the DVC stage. It gave us this file, and this file has all the stages, right? And this is written in YAML. This one is written in YAML. So this is why I needed to do the first teaching, which is about learning YAML. You can see how YAML is used here, right? So if you don't know YAML, try to go and watch the previous video to learn more about YAML. So here now, I can now, so once you have this, once you run the stage, anytime you run the stage, it's gonna generate this log for you. Try as much as possible to to add this to GitHub, right? To Git, right? Git add dvc.log, right? And then git commit. So added the first pipeline stage. Okay, so I've done this now, right? And so what I'm going to do next, maybe I'm going to add another step, which can be training the datasets or doing a pre-processing step. No, I've done pre-processing, maybe doing a hyperparameter search, something like that, right? Just having that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, so let me just call it, or maybe you can just go through training, so we don't spend too much time here. So you can go through training. I can let me create another train.py, right? So you can add a training code here. So if I go to this place, I can look for the training code, right? So I copy it. Okay. So the training code. So some things I need to install. I need to install Touch Vision, and I need to install Touch here, and yeah. So I'm going to, because I want to work on GPU, so I don't need to install the mere Touch. So I'll go to this place. Sorry. Touch. Okay. First of all, you see. Just to know my GPU version. GPU version. Yeah, my CUDA version is this 12.2, so I should get something close to that. 12 by 12.1. Maybe I can take 12.1. Right, and then I can copy this code and and run this code. So this is going to download that for me. This is going to take some time, to download this PyTorch for me, right? And then I also need to download transformers, evaluation, and matplotlib, right? So wait for this to complete, and then we can continue. So just to plot the metrics, right? And this is the train the model. This is the function to train the model, right? So here I think the way I wrote this code, there's supposed to be a best parameter file which comes out of hyperparameter search, right? And then if you have that, then you can pick it from there to train the model, right? And then this model is one of my models that I trained. It's on Hugging Face. Hugging Face. It's an Igbo language model, pre-trained language model that I trained on how, for one of my research. So I'm going to say DSM research. Okay. So this is the file. So this is the data set. So already I have the checkpoint on my laptop, right? So yeah, so I have the checkpoint on my laptop. You can download this and use it to do your stuff, but I already have the checkpoint on my laptop. So still running. So once this finishes, right, maybe I will just still do the parameter touch so I don't change the code too much. Let's say high parameter. Okay, let's call it HP search. Right, and I go here to color the code for that. Okay. Okay, so we can go back and check if this guy is complete. It's not complete yet. So I can still pip install this guy. Hope it's gonna work. Up to now. Transformers evaluation. Again. Okay. Okay. And then I'm not going to talk about much about this, so it doesn't take too much time. So I can, if you want me to explain, the code, I can do another video for that, just to talk about how to train a model, how to do hyperparameter search, how to clean your data sets. So I can go more detail to talk about that. So yeah, to teach more about that, right? So just let me know on the comment section if you really want to go through, if you really want me to teach about this, right? So these parameters, talk about all this. If you want me to teach about this, just let me know, right? Okay. Okay, so let's do a few changes here. Okay, so let's confirm that this one has finished. let's go here. Okay, this is done, right? And so for us to run this guy, I need to so maybe I can change this to this. Let me try and see if this is gonna work. Let me try and see if it's gonna work. Here's model. Okay. Okay, let's try. I'll change that with this, and then I can load dataset and model. So I can actually do this since I have this like this, and do this, right? Is another thing that so this is gonna try this with this learning rates, number of epochs like this. I'm just gonna change this to 1, and I don't want to waste too much time for this to run, so I'm just gonna change this to this, and just change this to this. Just don't want to waste too much time, and then here what else do I want to change here just for it to be fast? Okay, so I think we're good to go. So number of epochs is already mentioned here. There's 1 epoch, right? So I'm going to, first of all, let's add this to DVC, right? Let's add this to DVC. DVC add stage, right? DVC stage add. I'll say the name of the stage says a hyperparameter. Let's search. Okay, and then the dependencies for us to this hyperparameter search, it's from the code here. When this data set, right? So I need this train. Okay. And we also need the val, right? And then what do we need again? We need the code parameter search, yeah, HP search. Or again, do we need so this guy is going to provide an output directory. It's called PM search. So you have an output directory, outputs. Okay, it's called PM search. Okay, And then we need, what do we need again? We also need a log directory, so I can just clean this that guy. Okay, and then what else do we need? Okay, so that what we need. We also need another thing. So let's check through the code and see what we need here. So we need to, yeah, so it's going to create this guy for us. Best parameter, say, sorry, outputs is called best parameter, this hyperparameter, parameters, JSON, right? And then you can write the code Python HP. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, so we have added that to the pipeline. If you can see here, the pipeline has been updated, right? We now have, if you come to stages, we now have hyperparameter search as a stage, right? So if we run, if I do DVC repro, it skip the preprocessing stage and then says running this guy stage. So it gives an error. So it cannot import name compute matrix from this. Okay, so if we go to the file here, we can see the problem here. Oh shit. Okay, so I think there's a file that I need to bring in that computes the metric, right? So let me clear this file, and the name of that file is evaluation. Okay, touch evaluation. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be evaluation at pi. Okay, so if I go back to my GitHub, I can bring the file here. All right, can just copy. This is file for calculating evaluating the model. Okay. Okay. Just for widths. Okay, guys. So now I've made some changes on the code. So that some of the arguments here is going to be dynamic, so I don't have to come to this file again to make some changes. So you can also use this file. So without making any changes on the code, you just need to just add this. This passes, this argument passes. So you can just, based on what your configuration is all about, you just put those information, and then you can use it to reproduce the same thing that I'm doing here. Okay. So based on that change, the DVC, this stage need to change, right? So because of that change that I made on the code. So now what I need to do is I need to update this stage so that to, so I need to reflect with the changes that I've made on the code, right? So what I need to do now is to say okay, DVC stage with the force it to update, right? And then we have the name of the stage. The name is hyperparameter, right? Search. And then we have the dependency as this guy is a dependency, right? I also have this as dependency. So it's just parameter search. And then what else? So we have the code itself as a dependency, HP, and then we now have the outputs, right? So let me go to the code so I can reflect very well. So we have the outputs. The output we have, it's sorry. We have the output which is so I can call it which is so the output is going to be one of the outputs is going to be the file, because we want it to save the best parameter, in a file. So when we are training the model is going to just pick these best parameters from the file and train the model, right? So it's going to be automatic, right? So we have this as the best params. Okay, the JSON. Okay, and then the output directory, right, where it's going to save the checkpoint for the search, for the parameter search. All right, so say call it PM search. Okay, and then we have the Python code to run the stuff. You call it Python HP this, and if I go to this, I can see all the argument parser that I need to add. So we have to put the directory, all right, which is this guy, right? And then we need the model directory, model name, which is this guy, right? And can put that, and then we need the best param file. So it's gonna create this guy. If I put if I don't put any file here, it's gonna use this default to create a file, but just want to make sure it reflects what I'm putting here already. So I can say best parameter params file, which is this param JSON, and then number of trial we have, number of trials, right? Number of trials, let's say 1. Don't want to waste time. And learning rates range, say just put only 1. Normally it's supposed to be in a range, right? This and this, I'll just put only 1. I'll say, let me see, that's gonna work. This -5, right? And then epoch range is a 1, right? And then the batch size, the batch size is, say it's okay. Okay, so I think at this point we have updated the file, right? And you can see the changes have been effected, right? So now if I do DVC repro, let's see. So it's running that. Oh, there's an error. Failed to reproduce this. Was error. Invalid int value. Number of trials. So I need to put, okay. Okay, so I think the reason why we have an error here is because of we are putting commas around this place. So just clean the commas. So sorry about that. Okay, the commas, right? And just put this updates that. Okay. Right, and then if I do DVC repro, I see. Okay, so this started. Okay, oh, this was the error. Filters. Learning rates. Okay, so the learning rate's supposed to be in a range, right? So it's out of index. So sorry about that. So we're still going to update that. So it's supposed to be 2 numbers. Let's say learning rates. So how do we write this here? Okay, so I need some learning rates. 1E minus 5. Okay. Okay, is another thing that needs something that we need to. Okay, I think that should be all for now. Okay, so let's try to reproduce this again. So here you can see that, oh, that problem. Line 19. Okay, also number of epochs is disturbing. Number of epochs is disturbing also. Number of epochs. Okay, so we just have to add something to that. Okay, number of epochs, let's say 1, 1. 1, 1. I don't want to spend time on this. I can always put those numbers and it will take time to do the parameter search, but I just want to make sure that they don't take time. Right. Okay, I can do the DVC repro. Okay. We hope it starts working now. Okay, so everything started working. So if you check here, you can see that the stage for pre-processing didn't do anything. It says stage pre-process didn't change, skipping. So it skipped that stage because it doesn't need to run that again, right? So it just continues to, it just skipped to the next stage in the pipeline. So we have another error, which says failed to reproduce imports trainer, please. Okay, so I think this is coming from this guy. Okay, import error using trainer with parentage requests. Alright, this. Please run or install right. Okay. Let me try this. Right. I don't know. Okay. We hope we don't have that error again. Okay. Okay. So the model, I think the model has trained right now. Okay, so the model has started training. Just to search, it's going to train across the data set and then try to, tell us the best parameters based on the argument which passed in here. So it's going to search through those range and then provide the best one for us. Right, so we're just going to wait for it to finish. So after that, I'm going to pause this video. So after that, we can see the results, right? And then we can continue from there. Okay, welcome back. I think this process has finished, right? So just we have here, it has finished, and we can see, say best trial. Best is trial one with value. These are the parameters, right? And then this guy has updated the dvc.log, so we'll go ahead and comment it to Git, to add it to Git at Git add DVC. Look, all right, git commits. Okay, so that's so the next thing we're going to do is to look into the code. So let's look at the files these guys have generated. So we have, this is the checkpoint for the search that you just did, right? And then this is the best params that is generated as an output. I remember we have it here, right? So Yeah, so this is what it did for us, right? The base param is here. So now our training code should use this base param, right? So let's see the training code, right? So I need to import this guy, matplotlib. So let's install this guy. No, sorry. Okay. So we import the guy. The training codes. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, okay. So now, we need to define the stage for the training, right? Okay, so let's say DVC stage add, and this for this training part, we have the name should be training, right? Sorry, name. Training, right? Dependency. So the dependency, it's gonna have dependency as the data sets, right? Here. It's gonna use all this for training. So these are the dependencies for this, right? Okay. All the things we have here, right? Right. So we have the train. The val, alright, so dependency, and then we have the test. Okay, so we need to also so our dependencies we have for training. Okay, we have the training code. Okay, what again? Training code, what again? Yeah, so the output from the other guy, the param, the best parameter, right? So, yeah. This param, what again? The best param is the outputs that the guy generated. So let me look at the DVC YAML. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one, right? So, yeah, so let's go to the train, and then say the output. The output here is gonna be the output directory. Let's say outputs, right? So they call it model outputs. Okay, and then yeah, so that's all. They can do the code Python train. It has the data directory is this takes this as the directory. Right, and we have the model name, which is this, right? And then the model name is that, and then the next thing we're gonna have is the output directory. The output directory, which you can call the model output. So it's gonna create that for us, right? And then we have the best parameter, params file, which is best parameter JSON. Okay, so we are going to add this to the stage, right? And we have this stage, DVC. So if you come to the DVC now, we have how many stages? We have the pre-process, the parameter search, the training, yeah. So let's look at the evaluation. So we can also go towards adding the evaluation as a stage. So after training, it evaluates the model, right? So from the training was the output, the model is the output. So evaluation here should be something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do DVC stage, add, right, we're gonna put the name is evaluation, right, evaluation, we put the dependencies, which is gonna be from here, the dependency that we have here it's gonna be so the model has been trained, so obviously the model outputs dependency should be the model outputs, right, the model outputs, it's gonna be the model outputs, right? So we have, what else do we need here? This, so we check the file and see what the file needs. Data directory, right? It needs data directory. So you're gonna use the test. It's gonna use the test data, right? So this test, okay, and then you'll put the model checkpoints. So this is okay. The output directory is where you're going to put the results, right? So we need the file, okay, evaluation, all right, and then we need the output. Let's say yeah, so the output directory where the file, we want to save a file, right? We want to save a file, which is this, to the outputs to the as a metric, right? Which we're going to use to track the metric. The performance of the model, right? So you can say, you can call it metric directory, something like this. All right, and again, I think that should be the only output we're expecting from this guy. Yeah, that's the only output we're expecting from this guy. And then we can now do the Python code. It says evaluation. This is a directory. Okay, this is a directory goes test data. Okay, the directory, which is this, goes into pick the test, right? And then we have what next? The model checkpoints. All right, which is going to be here, model outputs. I'll just copy it and put here, model outputs. Yeah, that's what should come out of the train, right? And then we put the directory for this, right? Where it's going to put the output directory. Let's say output directory. Output directory. Metric.dr, right? Metric directory, right? So we can now add this. Okay. So you can also do git add. That's DVC. That's YAML. Right. And do git commit. Just put let's say okay, and then let's do. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make some change in the trend data and see if DVC is going to track that. And because before, since we've been here, we have been seeing that the trend, the preprocessing does not. The preprocessing kind of it's. The preprocessing does, what I mean is that, it keeps that process. So I just want to make a change and see if that will affect that process again to initiate it again, so that we can, we can see that change and see how it affects the pipeline, reproduction. Okay, we'll go to data and go to this guy, maybe just put something here. Let me see, right? and do DVC repro. Okay, as you can see, it's run the pre-processing stage, and saved it. So it saw the change that I made and then ran the stage. And then now it's running the hyperparameter stage. And then after that, it's going to run the training and the evaluation. So we're just going to wait for this to happen. Okay, guys. So this is just what I want to teach you guys about, how to do this using the DVC, and this is going to help us a lot in our CICD, pipeline, because it will just use this, this file to run the whole thing. And if you check here, I think there's a file. Yeah, the DVC log. So we have been committing this file to GitHub. To the Git. So because it's going to take all this, it's going to take all the stages are here. You can see their checksum and everything, and it's tracking everything that we are doing. And if there's any change, it's initiates again, and we are committing all these files to Git. And this will help the CICD, to know the step of, the pipeline stages, to run all those kind of things, right? So, yeah. So this is very important before we even go into the CICD, right? This is very okay. So the training the pipeline has finished, running around the training stage, around. So sorry, it's from here, instead from here, around the pre-processing stage, the hyperparameter stage, and then after that it saves the file for the hyperparameter, the best parameter, right? Which is this file, right? Right, is this file to run the training stage, right? And then we did the evaluation stage, right? So if I go to my YAML, right, so you can see the stage here, everything is here, right? And this file is generated automatically as I add a stage, yeah, it keeps, adding the stages, sequentially. And then if I go to dvc.log, I have everything with their checksum and everything right here. So I'm going to add this to GitHub. To Git. Git add dvc.log. Okay, and then I'm going to git commits. Okay, so we're going to try to push this to the remote directory, the remote storage that we provided before. So I think we did that here. That's 3. Oh, we didn't add this. Okay, now guys, we want to push this to our S3 bucket. I think the reason why I was having error is because this is not a default remote storage, right? So for us to do that, we can do DVC remotes. So if you want to add your remotes, if you do DVC remotes, I think you need to add it, put it a D flag. So I didn't pull that where you can say my S3, then put the URL, the URL of the remote storage. In this case, the S3, right? But since I didn't do that, so what I will just do is DVC remote, and then default. I'll put the name my S3, right? And once I do that, you can see this file changes immediately as a call, changes like this. And then I can now do DVC push. Okay, another error. S3 is supported but requires DVC S3, so I can do pip install DVC S3. Okay, so once I do that, okay, so can do DVC push. Okay, now we are pushing the files to the DVC, sorry, to the remote storage, right? So this will take time to run, and after that we can go to the AWS and check the files and see if they are available there. So we can also pull them, yeah. We want to use them, especially in the CICD pipeline. It's going to pull the data from there and use it from there, and then train the model, right? So yeah. So thank you for your time in this session. Next part we're going to talk about CI. We're going to talk about the continuous integration part, the CI part, and also we're going to look closely to the code that we wrote. So I just put all those codes together. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about the code in details, and then see how we can use so we can do continuous integration, with this code, right? So work together with that. Okay. See you in the next session or in the next episode. Please don't forget to share the course with your colleagues, your friends. Share with your friends, right? And comment, like, and try to share the stuff. If you have any question, you can always ask, and I'll be glad to reply to you in the comment section. Thank you guys, and have a good day. Bye.